Summer plans to hit the water, you might need to make some adjustments, right? A bill making its way through the SC legislature right now would require more training when it comes to operating a boat or any type of watercraft. Stats from the Department of Natural Resources show boating accidents are on the rise, with an increase in accidents and deaths in the past 5 years, as you can see. Last year, boating accidents in South Carolina killed 22 people, up from 15 in 2018. In 2022, there were 170 boating accidents compared to 142 in 2018. Now, right now, South Carolina requires anyone under 16 to complete a boater education course before operating most water vessels by themselves. But lawmakers are considering a measure to require anyone born on or after July 1st, 2007 to take a 6-hour boating safety course.
There are more boating accidents and watercraft accidents than the general public is aware of, and they are some of the most violent and some fatal accidents that occur.
So it's common sense. We're behind what other states are doing. Most other states have requirements that you take a boating safety course.
Well, DNR says excessive speed, operator inattention, and operator inexperience are among the top reasons for those accidents. The bill's already passed through the Senate and the House Judiciary Subcommittee. It's expected to go before the full House as early as this week. Of course, we'll keep you updated as that progresses.